Hello and welcome to Dollars and Cents, the Australia Institute podcast where we're talking about just what the hell is going on in the economy. I'm Elinor Johnston-Leake, the senior content producer here at the Australia Institute, and as always, I'm talking to our chief economist, Greg Jericho. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Elinor, and happy Maundy Thursday.
Yes, we were discussing this.
Elinor and I were having a big discussion about the names of Passion Week, basically. And
comparing the quality of our religious education in school. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
so,
mine lacking, apparently.
Happy Easter. Do you have a happy Easter and Passover? I don't know, but happy long weekend.
Happy long weekend.
Coming up.
Yes. Thank God. Also happy end
Literally.
of Oh yeah, true. Happy end of sitting week as well in Parliament. It's been
truly, thank God.
It's been a week.
A short week, but it's been a week.
But a lot's happened. Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, first thing that I would like to talk about is our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, made an announcement on Wednesday that he was going to deliver a national address to the nation of Australia. It'll be the first national address since Cot Morrison. It was the first time. It was the first time that a Prime Minister delivered a national address since Scott Morrison during COVID. So I don't know about you, but that felt very ominous to me. It felt very we need to talk energy. So, Greg, what did he have to say that was worth all of this fuss for? That was worth getting me anxious for?
Yeah, I mean, all the reports, one of the good things about doing something like this is it enables journalists to all basically speculate. And so there was lots of, he's going to announce.
Is that a good
petrol rationing? Oh, it's a good thing for media because they can just make stuff up.
Yep.
As opposed to what they always do. And so there was lots of speculation. He was going to announce rationing.
Yeah, of petrol.
Yeah, of petrol. Yep. And, but it was going to come after the Easter weekend. And others were speculating that, Donald Trump's also announcing that he's doing an address. So maybe
he wants to get in before Donald Trump says something insane.
Maybe Donald Trump's going to declare war on us and he's going to get it. And in the end, look, I was actually on a plane when he did it. So I quickly went to social media to find out, and pretty much
everyone did, I'm sure.
There was about close to 100 sort of posts on social media saying this could have been an email.
The months ahead may not be easy. I want to be upfront about that. No government can promise to eliminate the pressures that this war is causing. I can promise we will do everything we can to protect Australia from the worst of it. These are uncertain times, but I'm absolutely certain of this. We will deal with these global challenges the Australian way, working together and looking after each other, as we always have.
It really was just, times are tough, but we're Australians. Let's work together, take some public transport, and thanks and goodbye. It was like,
why did this need to be
yeah. Really bizarre comm strategy because, as you say, when a Prime Minister announces this, you think, geez, is this going to be like Kennedy and the Cuban Missile Crisis and he's addressing the nation and everyone tune in? Usually you got to have something to say.
Yeah.
And he had nothing. Nothing to announce where you say, okay, we're going to, like, for example, if we were going to be starting rationing of petrol, that would be something that you would think, let's do a national announcement so you can say, okay, look, we're doing this, but let's be calm about this and let's work together. But just, take public transport. What? Anyway.
Well, yeah, speaking of which, obviously the petrol crisis, whether or not you want to consider it a crisis at the moment, has been a big topic in government of the last week. Victoria and Tasmania both announced free public transport. Those two are the only states at the moment. Everywhere else is sort of unlucky, I guess. A lot of people have been complaining that's not going to help people who have to drive, even though it kind of would in a way. But the federal government's also announced some policies recently to help people through this time, principle of which they halved the fuel excise for people. Is that going to help much, or are prices still just going to be very, very high anyway?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's good.
Yes to both. It's going to help. Okay. Look, it's a couple of things there. Yeah, I think the free public transport, I think that's good. If you want to encourage people to take public transport, make it cheaper, make it free, and have more of it might be another thing as well.
Here in the ACT, they said, take public transport, but we're not going to make it free.
Yeah.
We're not going to add more buses.
And look, the petrol excise, I think, was a bit more of a political thing than an economic thing because, as we say, what's coming up? The Easter holidays. This is a long weekend where there is a lot of travel, a lot of people using petrol not only to take their caravans around, but also speedboats and things like that. Certainly where I grew up in South Australia on the River Murray, Easter weekend was huge for speedboats and just all of that and going fishing and things like that. So a government wants to look like it's at least helping out there, that it's, so your long weekend is not, holiday is not going to be so bad. But petrol prices have gone up about 66 cents a litre on average across the country.
A lot.
Yeah. And this is taking it down, let's say 26 cents a litre. So.
Okay. It's not nothing.
It's not nothing, but petrol prices have still gone up 40 cents. So they're still pretty expensive. I was just having a look at the figures. So like in Sydney, on the 26th of February, the day before the bombing starts, they were $1.81. By the 31st of March, they're up to $2.57 a litre. And on the 1st of April, they were down to $2.42 a litre. Now, they'll probably go down a little bit more, but that's a long way from $1.80 a litre. So, a good political thing. Economics it's neither here nor there. It costs $2.55 billion, so that ain't nothing.
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
Yeah, but overwhelmingly a political thing.
Yeah, okay. There was also, I saw a bit of criticism in the media that this could be inflationary. Obviously fuel prices adding to inflation. The RBA already concerned about inflation. Is this going to be a problem here?
Yeah, this is something that, God, there's been so much reporting on this. It's almost taken as just gospel that because the government is spending $2.55 billion, basically giving that to households. Essentially, that's what it's doing. By lowering the petrol prices, it's giving households around Australia $2.55 billion. That must be inflationary because, we've got all this extra money. That means we're going to have too much money now to spend in the shops and the Reserve Bank's going to have raised interest. I'm like, I just read out the figures.
They weren't
Petrol
listening.
prices have still gone up 40 cents from where they were. It's just reduced the hit. It's not like a good counterfactual is, let's say the shock in from the Iran war didn't take prices up from $1.81 in Sydney to $2.57. They just took them up to $2.42. Would anyone be now going, geez, that's a bit, all that money that Australians have got to spend, going to be inflationary? It's like, do you hear yourselves? I mean, I was chatting with our colleague Matt Grudnoff,
friend of the podcast.
Friend of the pod. And thanks, Matt, for stepping in for me last week when I was in South Australia.
Yep.
Back in my old stomping ground. We were sort of trying to think how to do it. And I was like, and I had this thought of, the ACCC right now is having a go at Coles for having prices at a set rate or at a certain rate, then raising them for a month and then dropping them a little bit and saying, hey, prices are down.
Yeah.
And the ACCC going, yeah, they're still higher than they were. Well, that's exactly what's happened here. Prices are still much higher than they were a month ago. It's just that they're less than they would be if they hadn't have halved the excise. Now, if everything was normal, like the economy was just going along normal.
If everything was normal?
Yeah. Let's imagine that fantasy.
Yeah.
And then the government just came along and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to halve the petrol excise. You'd be going, well, that's just going to hit inflation.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to. But it's not inflationary. It's just removing some of the pain. And it's even where petrol prices are the day after the excise came in, the increase is still equivalent to more than one interest rate rise.
Yeah.
So it's not like suddenly people going to go, oh, we're flush with cash. They're going to go, oh, we're not hurting just as much,
But we're still hurting more.
Yeah. If someone's punched you in the face 5 times and then the government says, actually, what we're going to do is stop you after the 4th punch. No one's going, well, I feel a lot better than I did 4 punches ago. It's just I don't feel perhaps as bad as I would have if they punched me again. I mean, so this line that economists and unfortunately some economic journalists have really been pushing that, this excise is going to cause the Reserve Bank to raise interest rates. Well, they were going to anyway because for reasons that we've talked about many times. But this is not inflationary. This is not putting money in that people don't need, that people are like, oh, thanks for the present. It's, if oil prices go up, and who the hell knows what will happen with Donald Trump, it could be basically wiped away. But at least for Easter, politically, people are going to notice it. But no, not inflationary.
Okay, well, that's good.
And all the fear, and goes to Albanese's speech, all the fears about a fuel crisis. If listeners tune into our episode of Follow the Money this week with Matt Grudnoff.
Matt Grudnoff, yep.
He's trying to take over every pod.
He was plotting your demise while you were away, yep.
That's just par for the course every day. Matt and Ebony are chatting about the likelihood of a supply crisis, and the reality is Australia, not very likely. A lot of things that have to go wrong. And also at the end of the day, we're a rich country, so we will, if anything, outbid other countries for the oil.
Yeah.
For the petrol, we'll pay more. Other countries will go without. That's kind of the reality of the situation. But definitely tune into the Follow the Money as well. And you can hear all about that from friend of the pod, Matt.
Australians are sick of the delay. They are sick of the excuses. It is time for Australia to have a 25% gas export tax.
To the gas companies, you're losing this one. We are sick and tired of your BS.
3 years ago, we could have actually instigated this tax and we would have had billions of dollars in the budget to make things better now.
If this press conference goes for 10 minutes today, we will miss out on $350,000.
What the Australia Institute shows here with the Australian gas giveaway is essentially how fiscally irresponsible this government is and continues to be.
Imagine all of the things that we could buy for our country, all of the hospitals, all of the schools, all of the roads that we could get if we actually made the most of our precious national resources.
When it comes to our resources and our national interest, Australia cannot be meek. It cannot be timid.
Well, also this week in Parliament, we at the Australian Institute released our Australia's gas giveaway tracker, which is tracking how much revenue Australia has missed out on because the government didn't implement a 25% gas export tax back in July 2022, which is just after it was elected, just after the war in Ukraine started. And Greg, you can see live exactly how much that Australia has missed out on. And it is an absolute shitload of money. Exactly. Well, not exactly.
Yeah,
What's
I can't do
it up to
exactly
now?
because it is rolling, every
up.
second.
Pretty quickly,
we're definitely over $68 billion.
Yeah, it's going up by about $577 a second.
Yeah. What was it? 50 million a day?
Yeah.
350 million a week. By the budget, it'll be over 70 billion. Everyone can just click on our website.
Yeah. See the numbers
on
go up.
On either the Point or the Australian Institute, just see those numbers going up. Or if you're in Canberra, see them on the mobile billboard driving around. Look, I think it's really stark just how much money could have been raised, and it seems harsh because we're thinking, the government saying, if you'd done this on day one, but the government was committed to reforming the PRT and everything like that. It's like, well, if you'd actually just done this thing, look at what you could have done.
Yeah. Look how much you could have raised. Because $68 billion, I mean, that's just a mind-blowing amount of money. What could that possibly pay for Australians?
Probably a good way to think about it is we're talking essentially $17 billion a year.
Yeah.
And for sort of reference point, the Parliamentary Budget Office estimates to have put dental in Medicare, which everyone is like, geez, that'd be really popular.
Yeah.
That would cost between 13 and 15 billion.
So you'd have some change left over.
It's more than the government spends on public schools each year.
Yeah.
It's more than it spends on university. We could have free university.
Yeah.
I mean, put it bluntly. And TAFE.
Yeah.
And still have a bit left over. Our point always is that budgets are about choices. Yet we always hear government say, we have to live within our means. We can't increase debt. We have to find savings. We can't afford everything. It's like, no, you can't afford everything. But there are some things you could afford if you did this one thing.
Yeah.
And unlike the PRT, which is subject to a whole lot of chicanery by tax lawyers and tax accountants, this is kind of pretty easy to estimate how much it would raise because
a flat rate makes the maths easy.
It's a flat rate on how much the value of the exported, and that's pretty easy to estimate. And if anything, when there is a thing like a war in Iran that sends prices higher, well, then the tax take will increase. But, you can pretty much estimate what the gas price is going to be. And we figure it's a pretty good, sensible, straightforward thing that most people are like, sounds pretty obvious.
And also, I'm guessing that, different to the, as you say, chicanery of, say, a windfall profits tax makes it a lot harder for these giant companies to sort of weasel away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit worrying because you hear some people saying, let's get a windfall profits tax, and I can understand the logic behind that, but again, that's what the PRT is meant to be. And as soon as you say, let's do a windfall profits tax, you're basically saying, okay, tax lawyers come in and hide the profit.
Yeah.
And it's a case of basically when they make a big profit, as in the Creedence Clearwater Revival song, Fortunate Son, when the tax man comes, their house looks like a rummage sale. It's it's like, no, let's stop that. Let's just go 25% on your exports. The good thing about that, gas companies hate paying tax, so how can they avoid it? Sell gas to Australians. There isn't a huge market for Australians using gas, so that means they're going to have to fight to actually be able to supply it, which how do you fight? You offer a lower price.
Yeah. So
lower prices to Australians.
Yeah. And this is something, the 25% export tax is something the Australian Institute's been calling for a while, but also plenty of other people have sort of signed on to this. Say the Greens, Pocock, I think Clive Palmer said it was a good idea.
Clive Palmer has now got front page ads calling for it.
Just a bunch of people across the political spectrum.
You can't say it's just a bunch of lefties. I mean, it's essentially the ACTU's policy.
Yeah.
We worked with them with some of the modelling and the numbers. But it was their kind of policy that we, as soon as they sort of came to us, like, that's a great idea. We'll support that all the way.
But with this many people sort of across the political spectrum, and the support growing, do you think that the government might actually make a move at some point soon?
Look,
or am I being too hopeful?
It's always risky with this government. They have had a good history of squibbing it, shall we say?
Yeah.
All I'll say on this score is that the things that they're saying in Parliament now, when being asked the question from either Teal independent MPs or the Greens, Madeleine King, Jim Chalmers and others, when they're responding to those questions, they are very non-committal on anything, which might sound, that's no good, but they are not going to come out now and say it. If they're going to do it, they'll do it in the budget and do a big splash. What they have in the past, and as we're talking as little as a month ago, when someone like Madeleine King was asked this, she's going, typical Greens, you want to kill gas investment, a vital industry, you just want to destroy it. This would be a terrible thing at this point in time, blah, blah, blah. Basic gas industry talking points. Now when they're asked, it's like, well, the budget is being formulated at the moment, and we did reform the PRT, and we're getting more revenue sooner. But we certainly are mindful that it's all very. We're not going to go on record saying that this is a bad idea because it seems very likely that they are. Well, we definitely know that they're at least investigating it.
Yeah.
Also, this week, the government voted with the Greens and Independents in the Senate to establish a select committee to look at basically the taxing of gas exports and to report before the budget. And people are like, oh, well, it's meaningless. No, in the past, they have voted against such things. They have sided with the Liberal Party against such things and lambasted the Greens for, there's footage of a couple of years ago, a year ago or so, Penny Wong in the Senate basically lambasting the Liberal Party and the Greens for being against Santos, for being against Woodside.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was over a sort of a change of environmental laws that basically gave a green light to gas companies to mine wherever they wanted. And that's not happening this time around. Now, look, I have no idea. We certainly, we push hard, but it's not like the government is giving us any inside info. All I'll say is we will not stop pushing. And I think, our polling is showing 2/3 to 3/4 of Australian voters are in favour of this.
Yeah.
One Nation voters and Greens voters are almost neck and neck with who is the most in support of this.
Yeah.
And that's fairly significant. And it's at such a point that if the government doesn't do anything, if they're like, oh, actually, we're bringing in a reservation policy or something, everyone's going to be like, yeah, great. Where's 25% tax?
Yeah.
And the gas industry mightn't realize this, but if let's say they're able to convince the government not to do anything, we're not going away.
Yeah.
And I don't think the support for it is going to go away. And then it's like, come election time, maybe we're not asking for 25%. Maybe we're asking for more.
Yeah.
Because we're going to point to the past 2 years where gas prices have gone ballistic off the back of destruction of Qatar's infrastructure and things, and going, enough's enough. So,
how many more billions could we have made? Yeah. You were also at a gas conference this week, weren't you? Shirt fronting big gas? Yeah. Why were you invited to talk to gas industry? And also, what was it like? What was the mood?
Yeah, it was a domestic gas producers conference in Sydney. I was invited. Richard Dennis was invited, which is even more bizarre for anyone who knows Richard and knows he doesn't dislike a little bit of a fight.
He relishes the opportunity.
He quite loves a hostile audience. But Richard was stuck in Perth, so I got the call at about 9:30 saying, hey, can you get to Sydney by 2:30?
Yeah.
And it was this wonderful session at the conference. I was up on a stage with a former AFR journo who now writes for sort of an industry journal, and basically being asked questions about our policy. And let's just say there weren't a lot of laughs in the room coming my way. There were a lot of laughs from me towards them.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing you got to realize about the gas industry. They used to being the bullies. They used to being feared. They used to getting their way. And they used to, if they something like, oh, but if investment, this will kill investment, companies will leave. They used to people going, oh, that'll be bad. They're not used to someone saying, what, you mean if Impex left, we would lose 100% Japanese-owned company that doesn't pay us any royalties on its gas, doesn't pay any PRT.
Where else are they going to set up shop as well?
What are you threatening me with?
Yeah.
If we lose that investment, oh gosh, please don't go. Stay.
So I'm guessing there was a lot of sarcasm from you on that day.
Look, yeah.
Did you get questions from the audience?
Look, I got a couple questions, but one guy was questioning why, if they're doing so well, their share price isn't as high as it was 3 years ago, which
isn't as high as it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, and it's like, what why isn't your share price as high as when it was when Russia invaded Ukraine and sent gas prices soaring to record highs? Gee, that's a real quandary I cannot want.
Yeah.
And as listeners will know, though, but the share price since Israel and USA started bombing Iran has gone up wonderfully while the rest of the stock market's gone down. So I'm like, do you really want to talk about share prices right now? So, and, there was a fair bit of silence. As I was not getting a roaring
but no tomatoes
applause.
thrown.
No tomatoes.
No.
Look, it's valuable for organisations like the Australian Student and others to appear at these type of events, because otherwise they think they're winning and they think that we're scared of them. We're not. And I got asked, is our mobile billboard, a political stunt? I'm like, well, it's politics. I said, I'm kind of shocked to hear that the gas industry doesn't like political stunts and isn't into lobbying. Point out you guys have got
how many billboards?
How many billboards and how many corporate suites at the MCG and at sporting events to take pollies to watch the Wallabies? I said, and we've got a mobile billboard going around Canberra. I mean, we do what we can do. It's one of the great things is we have the facts.
We have the research. Yeah.
I didn't get to say this to them. I kind of forgot it. But, it's like.
Speak your truth now.
It's like, the gas industry loves boasting about things like, we pay for Medicare. I'm like, I just want that to be true.
Please.
Wouldn't they feel much better looking at themselves in the mirror knowing that actually they do fund Medicare? I'm like, let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Why not?
Thanks for the offer.
Yeah. So I was kind of surprised because I was expecting it to be a lot more hostile. But then I realized as I was going, they've got no comeback because these are all just facts. What are they going to say? Oh, the ATO's figures are wrong. The ABS figures are wrong. It's like this is the reality I'm telling you. And they were kind of embarrassed, I think, to have someone actually say it so, openly to their face and not genuflect and go, oh, but you are vital to the Australian economy. It's like, how? Firm like Impex, it's 100% Japanese owned, in fact, part owned by the Japanese government, which is why perhaps the Japanese ambassador was out there saying, relations between Australia and Japan will take a hit if you do that. It's like, as Rod Campbell, our research director, pointed out, maybe there was a bit of self-interest in that there, because it's not going to affect the prices Japanese people pay. It's only going to affect the profits of Japanese companies. And, that's not our problem. So, if you're a foreign-owned company, and even if you're an Australian-owned company, and you're paying no tax, no PRT, and certainly no royalties, as we know, 58%, I think, of all LNG exports pay no royalties. Well, stop threatening us with a good time that you're going to leave. I mean, And also, as you said, where are they going to go? I mean,
the Middle East isn't looking too
Qatar,
great for investment right now.
Venezuela's got a lot of gas. Maybe there, it's such a hollow threat. And I think
also Qatar and Norway, they already tax their gas so much more than we do, or their fossil fuels. Yeah,
and this is something that hopefully the government is realising as well, is that they're actually not that threatening. These are the facts. And when you present them, they're like, oh, I didn't realize anyone knew the facts and would say them openly.
Well, I was very disappointed that your session at this gas conference was not filmed. So next time you do this, can I get an invite, please? I'd like to see this. But I reckon that's probably all we've got time for today, Greg.
It is. And but where's my round of applause and cheer from that?
Yeah. Good job, Greg.
That was basically equal to the amount of applause I got from a room full of gas execs. Yep. We'll have to leave it there. Everyone, thank you very much for listening. Have a very safe Easter and have a good one. But we will be back.
We will.
With another episode of Dollars and Cents next week. This one was recorded on the 2nd of April. We're into April, Elinor.
Yeah, we are. Yep.
We got a little over a month, 5 weeks until the budget. My column, which we Hey, we didn't even get to my column this week.
Yeah, well, you just had
Elinor.
so much to talk about.
My column, which actually looks at wealth and land and house prices and how screwed it all is,
Yep.
is on the Guardian Australian site. You can go check that out because we'll probably touch on it next week because it's always nice to ask, can Elinor afford a home?
Yeah, we'll find out next week.
Find out next week. That's on the Guardian Australia site. All other stuff, including a massive amount of fact-checking of the gas industry that I wrote and others wrote this week, you can find on thepoint.com.au. It was chockers full of stuff this week, especially with our live blog with Parliament sitting. But even next week without the live blog, there is just every day lots of articles, lots of columns, lots of fact checks, lots of explainers, lots of stuff. So check it out. Our music, as always, is from Blue Dot Sessions. Everyone, as I say, have a great week. Have a great Easter, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.